All right. All right, Bogus, we're good to go.
Okay, great. Could you go ahead and bring up the agenda?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, and Keone,
All right.
you can take it away whenever you're ready.
Yeah. This is the June 24th, 2021 meeting of the University Impact District Review Board. The next meeting will be on Thursday, July 22nd at 4 p.m. And if you heard the previous discussion, the next meeting will be in person at 111 Front Street in the Coleman Governmental Center, the hearing room on the second floor. We'll start by swearing in staff. So Felton, if you'll raise your hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you, and welcome on board.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll do roll call of board members. So if you are present, please speak up. Let us know you're here.
Keone?
Yeah.
Oh, Keone, I guess I'm still learning the ropes. I typically call the roll with my other board. Would you like me to call the roll for this one, or would you like to call the roll?
Oh, you know what? You can do it. I'm good with you doing it. I admit I left my my cheat sheet of procedures at home because Stephen usually gets this job, so I'm kind of winging it. So all yours.
Oh, you're good. I have a motion record ready to go here, so let's do it. All right, Mr. Fleming.
Present.
All right, do we have Mr. Grado present? Not yet. Okay. Ms. Jones?
I'm here.
Okay. Mr. Petrozelio?
Present.
Thank you. Mr. Reed?
Present.
All right. And Ms. Yuha Sauer?
Doreen?
Doreen? Are you there?
Saw her like 30 seconds ago.
Mute.
Yeah,
It's muted.
It's muted. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Thank you for that.
All right. Who gets to do overview of the hearing format?
Yeah, I think Patrick covered that when we were going over the slides, so we can move on to the public forum.
All right. Do we have any speakers on for the public forum? This is unrelated to a specific case.
Yes.
Yep, Kathy Fox.
All right, Kathy, I'd like to turn on your camera and raise your hand.
Yes.
Okay. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Great. Thank you, Kathy. You have the floor.
I just want to make a very quick update regarding the Kroger on North High at 7th Avenue that we've discussed several times in the past. It's my understanding that the assistant city attorney has received information from Chris Presuti's staff indicating that prior to 2008, there was no 60% building frontage requirement for High Street. And I further understand that the University Area Commission, at least some of the members and the chair have been briefed by the city attorney's office about this, and Doreen may have some additional detail to offer. But it is my understanding that the city will not be pursuing that issue as the UIDRB had previously requested in a letter. So I just wanted to make sure that update was available to all of you. And just further wanted to add that based on talking with prior city planning staff, as well as the prior chair of the UIDRB, back when it was called the UARB, it appears there's some confusion about when the 60% building frontage requirement came into being, with the only person so far telling me that it did not exist prior to 2008 is the assistant city attorney. Everyone else has said that it did exist prior to that. So I just wanted to give you that update. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy. All right, let's go
County, can
to
I-
approval of meeting. Yeah,
I'm sorry,
Go
County,
ahead,
could I
Corinne.
just add a word to that?
yep,
Oh, thank you. I think Kathy summed it up well. There was also some of the meeting yesterday involved the Area Commission Zoning Committee, the chairs, and also Carrie and I were both there, and Carrie, of course, is on this board and free to make a comment, and he may wish to, but it also had to do with the building being built, the main building being built as presented in the picture. And I think I'm speaking for possibly the Area Commission at this point. I think the next step, Area Commission wise, would be to brainstorm what could possibly happen on that corner and make suggestions. Carrie, do you want to add anything?
No, I'm good. Thank you. I mean, I think basically in a nutshell, what happened is these things just missed each other, is my understanding, in terms of when city council approved their plan and when the overlay district requiring the 60% primary building frontage was passed. So
Excuse me, but was the dates stated as to when it was enforced? Do we know what the specifics are?
we didn't discuss specific dates last night.
Okay.
I just believe they were within 30 days of each other. Am I remembering that correctly, Carrie? I don't have my notes in front
That's
of me.
correct. Yes.
all right. We can continue the discussion at the end of the meeting under old business if we like. Let's move on to approval of minutes from the last meeting. Has the board had an opportunity to review the minutes of the previous meeting?
Yes.
Are there any corrections or changes? If not, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
This is KB. I move we approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Can I get a second?
Very second.
That's good.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Okay, the minutes are approved. Okay, this brings us to applications. So we're on Roman numeral 3 on the agenda, continued applications. The first project is UID 20-11002, 1475 North High Street. Elkis, if you want to take it away.
Absolutely. And Patrick, can you zoom in to the staff report, please? Just so it takes up the width of the screen. Awesome. Thank you. Great. All right. So the applicant for this one is proposing to redevelop the site with a 6-story, 72-foot tall mixed-use building that will feature 143 dwelling units. Additionally, the building will feature a fitness center, lounge, and future space for a tenant at the northeast corner. 123 space parking garage is included as a part of the proposal, and the existing site currently has a mix of uses, including commercial and residential spaces, and 2 contributing buildings are proposed for the demolition as a part of this proposal. And after staff review, staff recommends conditional approval. the University District Plan recommends regional mixed use for the site with a minimum FAR and no maximum FAR. And the plan also recommends the scale of new construction to be influenced by nearby contributing buildings and the streetscape, and that setbacks of higher stories from the front facade should be considered for taller buildings to lessen their visual impact. Staff does note that the applicant has demonstrated that the adjacent properties are not negatively impacted to the proposed height and has hidden parking to the greatest extent possible with landscaping. So again, staff does recommend conditional approval, and the recommended condition is that the applicant return for landscaping and lighting to be reviewed and approved by the board at a later date. Thank you.
All right, there are people here on behalf of the applicant. And if you'll make sure your camera's on, if you'll raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Great, thank you. Go ahead. You want to tell us about where you are in the application?
Thank you. This is Joe Sullivan with Southwind Architects. We are glad to be back in front of the commission seeking a vote on our concept plan, or and we believe we're in excess of the 25% required to receive a vote. We've got lots of documents that were part of the application. There's some minor tweaking of the concept as we've gone through, including the structural analysis. We've actually upgraded the materials. We are proposing the exterior now is all metal. The two primary materials, the background and field material is a horizontal metal siding that is, I've got a, this is not the color, it's a DMI product with concealed fasteners. The color for that is going to be a weathered zinc, which is this color. We don't have a large sample in the weathered zinc. What we refer to as the bump outs or the extended elements are going to be in a material called Solotech, and that is basically a product that uses a Lucobond.
I'm asking if we can share the presentation.
Can we share our presentation?
Patrick?
Patrick?
Yeah, I can give it to who's talking.
Okay.
Who wants it though? Ryan or John?
John.
There should be a share. Okay, there we go.
Okay. I'm giving kind of an overview to start with, and then we'll kind of zip through some of the images of the application, and I will not spend really any time going through any details. Mainly want to answer questions that would come and discuss what minor adjustments we've made since we were in the last time. As I was talking through the materials, the bump out elements are Solotech, and it's made with a Lucabond. It's a closed rain screen system with all concealed fasteners. There's some images at the end of our application that are of other projects that have used this material that I think you would be familiar with. I know a Lucabond has been around for a long, long time and is a material that has performed well. The primary color of those elements are it's clear anodized metal, and we have accent colors that are shown in this rendering. The material, the color actually is called cupral, and if John can show.
John, can you go to the materials page? So you can see all this together.
Yeah, they can see the materials. It's a material, and we tried to show that it's the color actually is the little cube that's at the bottom image is the color of the accents. And one of the interesting aspects of this material is it actually changes color depending upon how the sun hits it. It can go from a red color to more of a, depending, you can see in my, I've got it here, it becomes almost an ochre color when the sun hits it at a different angle. So we think this is going to reinforce the sense of movement and a sparkle that we wanted to have on the building, where we introduce this color in kind of a limited area, but just to give that highlight and interest to the facade. The brick is will be black velour, black diamond velour, and it is in a utility size. There's a photo of that particular brick that we're proposing. And the windows will be black. And we're showing an example of the window finish in the middle upper image that you see. It's a black facade. We have some metal railings that will be in the courtyard portion. Only the rest of the railings are going to be a glass rail system, which is in the lower right of the attached images. There's the glass rail detail for all the exterior. There were some very modest changes to the organization of the exterior bump outs as we refined the structural details, but the concept is intact. And there are perspectives in our package that show the views of the building from the various angles. We have the lower right is the view looking northwest from High Street. The upper right is looking north from 8th Avenue. The upper left is looking northeast from 8th Avenue, where you get the west elevator. And the lower left is looking southwest from High Street, where you see the north facade. The rendering that we included we think is a pretty close approximation of the actual character that this is going to have in its completed execution. And there are numerous obviously the floor plans and the some details and wall sections that define our constructability on this. And so that's kind of a very quick overview. And I'd like to be able to answer questions that you may have.
Great, thank you. Board members, any questions?
Hi, Joe. Thank you for the presentation of the materials that you gave us now. Can you, with this elevation that you're describing as that which is most like what you think the building is, could you just go through this particular graphic and identify where each of the materials is located?
Okay, the background material, which is shown there, is the horizontal siding. And that is in the weathered zinc color, which is this color. The elements, all of the elements that are forward of that, where we have extended, that's the Southwind material, which is made from alucobond. It's a smooth finish, and that's what's showing there. The colored panels are also Southwind, but it has this color that is called cupral, and that is the color that changes based on the sun orientation. There are the kind of small horizontals underneath the windows, and then some vertical and horizontal larger panels that were that occur at kind of some to appear a little bit random throughout the building to give us this variety and a spark of that color. Windows are black. We do have a wood ceiling shown underneath the top terrace to warm it up and kind of in contrast with the metal elements so that we get some warmth to the building. The storefront at the lower level is all that is clear anodized, correct? That is clear anodized storefront, and we did have some columns on the first level. That is one of the things that we changed structurally. We didn't express the columns. It's the first floor has an expression of the brick so that we have some consistency in the storefront elements scale-wise. And then we eliminated the column at the corner. We were able to do that structurally so that that opens up the entry. I think it creates a little bit of tension in the building that adds to the interest of the facade. So does that answer your questions?
Thank you, Joe. So where is the brick?
There's brick in kind of a rhythm of panels that support the facade, and then there's more brick.
John, why don't you go to the elevations?
On 8th Avenue shows it the best.
So we don't see any brick on the corner of High.
That's
There's some brick, but not on the corner. The corner is this radius storefront. This you can see the white area that is
Which one are you looking at?
Okay, if you look at the lower right, you can see that at the first floor, the dark elements are brick.
Mhm.
That's on High Street. And then in the upper right, the panel that is going to have the landscape element of covering that. That's all brick, and then you can see the brick panels that are on, that's the 8th Avenue facade. So there's considerably more brick on the 8th Avenue facade than there is on the High Street. High Street, we're trying to do predominantly the storefront, and then just use the brick panels to conceal the structure and create a rhythm of those openings. And then there's more brick on the west facade and the north facade. We closed down some of the openings at the garage.
John, do you have the updated view that you shared with Patrick?
Yeah, this is the updated view. We just, in going through all this, we had to limit the amount of garage openings on the north facade because of building separation, as well as the west facade. And it also helped in controlling, this is a mechanically ventilated garage, and if we had too many openings, we would cross ventilate, which would short circuit the ventilation process. So we minimize those openings to show.
And the white area there is shown as cast in place finished concrete.
Yes.
Thank you.
Joe, excuse me, Joe, would it be fair to describe your orange material as iridescent?
Yes, I think so.
I think it will be an interesting aspect of the building to not have flat color there, but something that will change a little bit. Hopefully it'll hold up.
Well, we think that, I mean, it is a material that has been used extensively and has a long history of performance. And that was one of the things as we were studying different material options, we just weren't quite comfortable in going with a newer material. And when we found this material made from Lucabond, I mean, that's been around for 50 years at least. So there's a long track record of its performance. And we saw some other applications of that were in the attached images that really got us excited about what that's going to look like.
Can you tell us what the detail is for the outside corner of the projecting metal features?
The material is only about a quarter of an inch thick, and it's black on the face. And so those will be butt joints at that. It's not a miter corner. It's I believe it's a butt joint corner, isn't it?
For the Lucabond?
For the Lucabond.
No, the panels actually wrap the corner, and then there's a joint that, like on the underside.
Usually with the Lucabond, the back is routed out and then it's formed, it's bent.
It forms.
The panels bend around the corners, yes.
Correct. Okay, good. Glad to hear you say that. Thank you.
John, you might be able to show them that Metropolitan Library that's just, a couple blocks away, because it's the same material as that, Frank, if that helps you picture it.
No, I'm familiar with the material. I just wanted to be sure that's what you were doing with the corners.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be like like where you have here, where the panel bends the corner and the seam is off the corner.
Right, the seam is beyond.
I mean, it's a good catch on Frank's part, or at least a kind of observation. I guess that was going to be my assumption based on some of the detailed sections, which show the material sort of turning down and kind of returning. So, but it's good that Frank clarified that. Are there any other questions from members of the board? I guess one question for you, Joe, not that big a deal. Why did you guys go with anodized aluminum mullions at the base as opposed to something more in the charcoal gray color like the weathered zinc?
We wanted a contrast with the, we have the dark brick, and we wanted a contrast from that with the storefront material, and felt that would it reinforces kind of we have the anodized material above, and then we were bringing some of that color into the storefront at the first level and get the nice contrast with the glass showing darker and the clear anodized storefront. We think that's going to have a real nice look, as well as against the dark brick.
We studied the dark, and
Okay.
we felt
Yeah,
the light color makes the
Go ahead.
bump outs feel lighter. The dark felt like they were heavy, and it gives it, the lighter color gives it more of a lightness almost.
makes sense. Fair point. I guess the only other thing I have to say is that I appreciate the completeness of the application. Thank you for the wall sections and the details in particular.
Yoni, this is maybe a question for you or for Bucks and Patrick, but on the staff report, it had that it was for conditional approval because we know we have to return for building, lighting, and landscaping. But it's my understanding that with this approval, we'll be able to submit for building permit and just come back for those two items when as we go through CDs. Is that correct?
That is my understanding as well, unless staff has a kind of clarification with regard to it.
Patrick, did you want to speak to that?
I think you summed it up fine. That's exactly what you needed.
Okay.
So you were saying that is the...
Yeah, I mean, basically this gives you approval for the building. You come back for just the landscaping and the lighting portion.
Okay.
Correct. What we would stamp would be the complete construction drawings that are submitted to the building and zoning services.
Okay, great. Because we do plan to probably have some building lighting that, as we studied more with a lighting consultant, that we would return for. But that just gives us a little bit more time to work through that.
Right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and I think, again, the intent with making you present the drawings at this point is that the final document set will conform to what you've shown us. And obviously these are CDs, just not 100%. All right. If there are no other comments from members of the board, can I get a motion?
Yeah, I move that we approve the submission or the application as submitted with including staff's conditions.
Harry, second.
Was that you,
Okay.
Frank, motioning?
I'm sorry. So you said Frank. Yes, Frank motion.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye, add your name so it's clear who you are.
Aye, KB.
Hi, Carrie.
Aye, Frank.
Hi, Doreen.
Aye, Keone. All those
Beautiful.
opposed,
Thank you.
same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item 2 on the agenda, UID 21-5-004, 21 East 16th Avenue, Bubbles Tea Company.
Yes, so this applicant is proposing to install a wall and blaze signage along with some window graphics on the north and east elevation. The wall signage has white LED illuminated formed channel letters and logos at 4-inch deep fabricated letters and will be fastened to the wall using studs and nut fasteners. The window graphics will be digitally printed on perforated vinyl and will be applied to the bottom 42 inches of the surface and serve to conceal the equipment on the north and conceal visuals from the west down on Pearl Alley. One blaze sign is proposed at the corner, and it'll be 42 inches in diameter and is internally illuminated and 7 inches wide. And after staff review, staff recommends conditional approval. The University District Plan recommends signage be designated to be logical and complementary, and staff views the signage as logical and complementary. Additionally, the applicant has responded to board comments regarding the blade sign at the corner. And so again, staff does recommend conditional approval, and the recommended condition is that the blade sign be covered with mounting bolts with estrogen plates. So yeah, thank you.
All right, is the applicant present?
Yes, sir.
Can we pull up the drawing,
right.
Patrick?
If you want to go, your hands up clearly. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Right, thank you. Go ahead, tell us about the changes since last meeting.
Thank you. And in deference to last month's meeting where we discussed this initially, it was recommended that we do one blade on the corner of 16th and Pearl instead of 2 blades, where previously we had one on the north and one on the east, for less clutter, less implications on the facade. And we were at that point to determine if the visibility and the function of the sign was going to be functional. And so we provided some elevations, some photographs to show the intent of that sign, and we think that it is functional. We did discuss going a little bit larger than the original submittal. Originally, we had 2 blade signs at 36-inch in diameter, and we've revised it to 1 blade on the corner, which is 42 inches in diameter. So not a whole lot bigger, but it does give a little bit more recognition from that long distance from High Street all the way down to Pearl, and help with the visibility north and south on Pearl Alley. In addition, we have the same signs over the storefront, one on the east over Pearl and one on the north over 16th. On Pearl, it's over the entry door, and on 16th, it's to the west end of their lease space. And that's a complement of dimensional cabinet with dimensional individual LED letters, routed, backed up acrylic tagline, and dimensional push-through icon graphics, the bubble symbols, which allow for face lighting and some halo glow over an opaque satin black or iron ore finished cabinet. We also discussed 2 window graphics along the bottom of the lower transom, or the lower section of the windows. And I wasn't sure the intent or the purpose of those graphics, but since we did find out, and on the east elevation, there is equipment that could be concealed and screened by these perforated window graphics. And on the north elevation, there's tables and seating right there in front of that window, and it would offer some privacy for the patrons as they sit in front of that window from the waist down. And that was based on the recommendations from staff last month. We put this together and have it back in front of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from members of the board?
This is KB. I have no questions. I really appreciate the diagonal corner sign. I think it looks much better. I think it works very well. So I appreciate that you took that suggestion. I think the whole thing
Thank you.
is
We,
whole
yeah,
application is
good. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's much improved. Thank you.
All right, last call on questions. If not, can I get a motion?
This is KB. I move that we approve as submitted.
Second, Doreen.
Can I get a second?
Yep.
Fran?
Second, Doreen.
This is a question
All right.
from staff. Do we want to include the condition that the plate be included to cover the bolt
Yes.
on the?
Yes, that's a
Yes,
good
absolutely.
point.
Thank
Right,
you.
let's,
Okay.
right.
Great. Thank you for that clarification.
Okay, so just to clarify, the motion is to approve the applicant with the one condition that the fastening to the building facade be concealed with escutcheon plates so that the bolt heads are not visible.
Okay, thank you.
That's fine.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye with your name.
Aye, KB.
Aye, Frank.
I Carrie.
Aye, Doreen.
Aye, Keone. Opposed, same sign. No one opposed. The motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, third item on the agenda, UID 20-1-004, 1347 North High Street. If the members of the applicant's team are present, if you will raise your right hand. You swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Great, thank you. All right, Belkis, you want to take it away?
Yes. So the applicant is proposing a mixed-use structure on the southwest corner of King Avenue and High Street. The site currently consists of 5 parcels totaling 1.04 acres. There are 5 potentially contributing structures on the site built between 1901 and 1947, which contain 16 units and 10,950 square feet of retail space. The applicant's proposal will preserve, incorporate, or locate one of the 5 contributing structures, as well as new construction proposing of a 7-story building with 153 for rent dwelling units. Additional details in the package were included since the previous month. And after staff review, the University District Plan does recommend this area for regional mixed use, which supports mixed use corridors with the densest development and height up to 72 feet. The plan also states that the design of the new construction should be compatible with nearby contributing buildings and the surrounding streetscape, and that existing buildings that contribute to the district's diverse character be preserved. The proposal is consistent with the plan's recommendations to preserve existing buildings and contribute to the streetscape and neighborhood character. Additionally, while the proposed height is 85 feet, preservation of the streetscape, setbacks from High Street, and the high quality of the design mitigate the impacts of the proposed height. So again, staff does recommend approval. Thank you.
All right. If the applicant would like to present the project, and then I think there's one member of the community who wants to speak.
Great. Thank you, Keone. Patrick, may I share my screen?
Yes. Let me give it to you real quick.
Everyone see?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Good afternoon. Thank you everyone for your time this afternoon. Our team from Bass Studio Architects, as well as Dynamic Design, as well as myself, Brant Stiles from Subtext, is here to present and address any comments or questions that you might have on our updated submission. It's a fairly extensive packet. I figured I would go through and identify some of the changes and updates from the previous month and leave it to open to conversation. Current aerial of the site and location, zoomed in. This is an updated site plan that shows ground floor landscaping that is updated on the south facade. We will continue to work with Clark Place Condo Association to refine that. There will be they will be working with us, but as of right now, this is the plan. If there's any modifications, we'll be coming back. The amenity deck wood screening and planter screening wall has been updated as well, and there's some additional details further along. This extends the entire perimeter, except along High Street. Design team feels that is, it would distract from the facade if it was along the High Street facade. We've studied it a little bit over the past couple weeks and decided to remove it because it impacted the facade. Street trees are consistent with the streetscape improvement plan along King and High Street. And planters are incorporated adjacent to the townhomes along King. The landscape sheets from the drawings sets are included later in the slides. Next page is just some updated elevations. Pretty consistent with what everyone's seen in the past. You can see on slide 8 is the view from Wall Alley. This has been updated slightly to better represent what is on the plan. You guys can see that the screening on the amenity deck has been updated, so you can see that continues along the south perimeter. The details for that are included in the plan as well. So you can see right here, this is just updated elevations for the Hippie Hut building that will be preserved. Windows are double hung windows from the Pella Architect series, and they're selected from the Historic Preservation Office approved window list. Those are all the windows on the second floor. The storefront will be upgraded to a modern aluminum storefront consistent with the rest of the project. This is another update for the Hippie Hut. This shows the townhomes, civil site plan, site utility plan. All electric is being undergrounded along King Wall and a cross wall to serve both our project and Clark Place. If you go to page 17, which is the last page right here, or this page right here, this is a ground floor hardscape plan. You see along King and High, it's consistent with the streetscape improvement plan. There's an inset area for outdoor retail seating. We have Allenstone concrete pavers and planters to provide separation from the sidewalk. High Street curb cut has been a topic of conversation in the past. That's been designed to city requirements. And we actually are looking into street trees along King Avenue. Per conversations with the neighbor, they've requested some additional street trees. We do plan on adding some street trees along King once we have city approval from Recreation and Parks Department and Public Service Department. If you go to, this is our main amenity level. This is the hardscape plan. Rooftop planters will have 36-inch tall planter boxes with extended planting that will extend 6 feet above the parapet wall. That's on this level, I apologize. Planter screenings at the amenity deck will be designed at 7 feet tall. Wood screenings at the amenity deck will be designed at 6 feet tall. You can see the difference on this level. There's a breakdown of planter locations, wood screening locations, and then details on all of those as well. So this is the wood screening location or detail. This is the planter detail. Details for all the other hardscape and landscape items as well. There's a planting plan for first floor planting plan. The landscape plan above the garage. I know this is above Clark Place condos. This is on the south side. I apologize. The buffer between Clark Place condos and our property. This is the planting plan above the parking garage. It shows the Boston ivy. We have a detail on that planter as well. All of the planters above grade, we will be irrigating as well. This is the planter plan for the amenity level, and the planter plan for the stepping of the buildings, stepping locations on the buildings. We just go into, this is current, building plans, basement level, parking, 2 parking levels, and we get to the residential levels and amenity levels. Roof plan, then we go to elevations. There's, further down, there's elevations detailing out all of the materials and examples and calling out of the specific materials. All of the wall sections for every wall on every facade. Carrie, there was a question as it relates to details of the planter boxes along above the garage. I know we made an effort to make sure we called that out, and I have it, right here, as well as the detail. So you can see the detail. It's a planter box that is, attached to the inner side of the parapet wall, Boston ivy, irrigation, with the expectation that everything is growing over that rear concrete wall. This is a breakout of all of the materials, concrete panel, brick veneer, iron spot, brick to match whenever necessary for repairs to the hippie hut building, box rib panel, metal panel, flat lock metal panel, and then a fiber cement with varying exposures with several different colors that we've talked about in the past, as well as window detailing, standing seam roof, louver details, black metal panels, and then a call out of all materials within the different elevations, and some examples of the elevations or of the materials in use.
Sorry, can you point that out, Brent? You said window detailing.
Yeah, so the window details and manufacturers call outs are on page 51.
Yeah, I don't see any details. No offense, but I mean, I see sort of images of window products, but I guess I'm interested to see how are you trimming out the window? What's the relationship of the window to the cladding material?
Yeah,
and,
that's
are you casing it out?
Yeah, that's in the wall sections.
Yeah, typically it's in a blown up detail that's related to the wall sections, but is it a larger scale?
Yeah, I know we have those. Matt, are you on the phone from Dynamic? Is that something that we have in here, or is it something that you can send over right now as an exhibit so we can present? Tim Bass. Someone save me.
Right, you could probably go to a wall section and just enlarge the view.
Tim, come on, man. You know the difference between a section detail and a wall section.
This is a Revit package. I'm sure they're just going to blow it up and annotate it.
Hey,
Still
Brent,
like to see the detail. The previous applicant showed us detail.
Brent, we have we can pull something together if the committee wants to see a window detail, a blowed up window detail.
I mean, so I'm going to yield the floor to the other board members to get their sort of comments. It just talked about this in the past in terms of the document set that's necessary for certificate of approval. And, you know, you guys have done a lot of work. You've been here a lot. I'm sympathetic, but if you compare the previous applicant set and the question Frank asked about the way the Alucobond returned and the fact that we could see similar situations in the details, I'm looking for that level of development and I'm not finding it in the package.
Okay, well, let's.
Why don't
Matt? I guess Matt, Keone, we can provide you with our progress CD set. This hasn't been a question in the past, and I apologize if it's something that we missed.
You and I had words about it last meeting, so I'm not sure how it's not something that hasn't come up. But let's come back to this. Other members of the board, do you have comments, questions?
This is Kerry. The only question I've got is you indicated on the parking garage entrance off High Street, that's a one-way entrance in, is that correct?
Correct, it is.
I'm assuming the answer is yes, but is that the minimum width the city will allow? Because if it's a one-way, it just seems so wide.
We've tried.
Okay. Is the radius coming off of High Street, is that minimum radius? I can't tell if it's 5 or 10 feet. I mean, obviously, I'd love for that to be as small a radius as possible, but.
We've tried.
Okay.
Yeah.
My last question I know I've asked about before is your opening appears to extend the entire width beyond just the drive. So there's no building material that kind of returns. Is that for pedestrians or okay?
Yes, there is a sidewalk. And there's pedestrian exit coming out of that as well.
Okay.
Kerry, I'd be interested to hear what you have to say about all of the various planters and watering systems and materials and that sort of thing. It seems very extensive, seems very well thought out, but I don't have the eye that you do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to ever get into micromanaging people's plant selections because that's I mean, I've not seen anything like, oh my God, that's not going to work. I have and I only say this because I've never tried it. I have a slight concern, you know, are things in these planters, are they going to freeze off in the wintertime? I guess it depends on what kind of winter we get. I just have never really done that much. So I'm not suggesting it's not going to work. No, but I think you guys have made tremendous progress. So the one thing I'm curious about though, so on I think it's level 3 or 4 that you've got CenTurf, is that intended to be a bit of a dog run up on the amenity deck?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. The only thing, and I don't expect a detail, I mean, but you're going to need like a dog.
It's irrigated and drained. Yes.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, you're going to need like a dog, a trash can and a bag for
yes,
people.
100%. Yes, we would.
Okay.
We would have 100% be having all of that available to our tenants. Yes.
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you.
This is KB. Do you have bicycle parking in the garage?
We do. Yes, that meets the city standard.
And so will bicycles be entering the garage and exiting along with automobiles?
We've taken that into consideration, and that is why we have sidewalks on both sides of that garage entrance for bicycle egress and ingress.
So maybe I wasn't clear. My question was, do bicycles and cars enter and exit at the same point?
They do, yeah, but there's a sidewalk for the bicycles and pedestrians.
So maybe that explains to some degree, the width of that opening.
Correct.
Because
Exactly.
you're allowing for bicycles to enter along with the cars. Okay, I see it. Thank you.
And so I don't want to get too into the weeds, but I'm just curious. So if you come out on a bike, there's a button or something to activate the door that's not available. I mean, recognizing cars, I'm sure there's a, do not enter or one way or wrong way or something, but a bicyclist can activate something to open the door to exit on High Street, but not a car. Or there's no door.
There's no door directly on. There is secured. Half of our parking is secured and half of it is not. Some of it will be and some of it won't. Getting, from a stacking perspective, we can't have the door right at High Street. And we want to actually have some of our parking be public parking for retail. And to get in and get through, a portion of it has to be open. The remaining portion of it will be
secured.
Secured,
Okay.
correct.
Actually, I had one mistake here. I forgot to ask the community member to speak. Belkis, remind me, did we have, okay. So sorry, my apologies to everyone. Kathy, are you present?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you want to go ahead and tell us your comments?
Sure. The board members have already addressed some of them, and in particular, the level of architectural detailing on some of the features is a bit of a concern. And there are several things that the neighborhood association understands we are going to get responses to. We just haven't received them yet. So we are concerned about getting those answers and whether or not the project is sufficiently detailed at this point in time such that an approval is appropriate now, or whether an approval should have conditions. That's basically my comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy. All right, sorry, back to the board. If anyone's got comments or questions. Well, let me, sorry, go ahead, Frank.
No, I was just going to say,
go ahead.
I'm waiting for you to be satisfied with the details that you asked for. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm frustrated because I feel like I asked last meeting, and I feel like I've been clear with all the applicants for the last 6 months. And the previous applicant clearly heard the ask because they graciously provided a nice selection of details that, reassured me that when you asked the question about what happens with the Luca mount, how does it turn the corner? And they said, it turns, there's no butt joint. I could look at a similar section detail and say, oh yeah, I buy that because that's what they showed in the section detail. So there was sort of reassurance in terms of the quality of the construction. And the applicant last month, Rhodey group out of Austin with their developer also did a pretty decent job of, showing us the roof termination, the way that the flashing came down over the siding. And I just feel like, look, we know you guys are going to detail it. Tim, we know you and the other architect are going to detail it, and you have to. But we are approving an application that allows you to build a building, and then just in fairness, it has to have the same level of completeness that we ask of everyone else. And so you've seen two two applications now that have passed. Solomon Brook immediately before you, and Rhodey Group last month. And the records, the material are public record, so the city staff can share the application with you, and you just need to provide enough to show us what you're doing. But there, no jam details, no seatbelts, no head details, the window, no understanding of the window in relationship to the cladding system, or is it faced? Does it have a fiber cement trim piece? Are you returning it? Sure, I see it in the elevation. Show me the section detail that tells me the thickness of the material and how it sits in relationship. Is there a piece of flashing that comes across the top? All these things impact the reading and appearance of the building, which is why you're before us. So, I mean, you got a board of 6 people, but I'm not ready to vote in approval. I'm not going to nitpick your details. I'm not going to look at your detail and say, oh, that's a terrible detail. You used to do it this way. But I just need sufficient detail to feel comfortable approving.
You'd be willing to approve it subject to reviewing all of the window details?
I'm going to go to the grocery store tonight, and I'm going to buy a case of beer. And when the cashier asks me for an ID, I'm going to say, believe me, I'm 21. Allow me to pay for my beer, and I'll come back tomorrow with my ID. Is that okay?
I'm not asking for that. I'm saying I'm going to leave the beer here, and I'm going to leave that last approval to your discretion, and so that we can get everything else behind us, and I can just go print out the window details that are already done that I just don't have right now and give them to you for approval. Because we have like a 2-inch recess on all these windows, and I know you're probably concerned about us using vinyl windows but there's a 2-inch recess on every window. And I don't know the specific, Matt or Tim, you guys can, talk through what the details are, but I know you are going to want to see it to approve it. So I'm just trying to take a step forward because our team's done, we believe, everything. We've reviewed over the previous packets. The packet that you referred to last month, we used as an example as a checklist to make sure we had everything in here. And I'm disappointed to hear that we don't have that. And it's an expectation.
Excuse me.
But yep.
This is Belkis. This is staff. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding what's missing here. So I was looking at the very first application that was reviewed today, and I see and I don't know, maybe it's helpful if we bring it up, but it seems to be page 56. There's a window schedule, and then next to that window schedule there are some blown up window details, and then you could see the thickness of the window as it relates to the wall that the window would be set in. Is that what you feel you're missing, Keone? If we zoomed into this page and the different wall sections that we had, and the applicant
Belkis, go to, if you can bring up the previous application, pages 52, 53, and 54.
Okay, Patrick, could we do that? Maybe we could do a quick compare and contrast. I'm thinking maybe if the applicant could zoom into their wall sections and describe thicknesses. I'm not sure if that could get you there, but I'm just trying to figure out a way.
It's not going to work. I mean, this wall section's at a 1/4 inch to the foot. The previous applications details are 1.5 inches to the foot.
All right, Patrick, could we take a quick look?
Yeah, are you guys able to see this now? I'm on page 52,
yeah.
I thought. Yeah. Was there another page that you wanted to?
previous applicant, pages 52 through 54.
Of the first application?
Yeah, this is 1475 North High Street, the Avenue Partners project.
Okay.
No, it's not. It's subtext. Look at the tab in the PDF.
Sorry, you want to see the subtext one for page 52?
And what you're saying on the
No,
screen is actually, Brant has enlarged that detail for you to see.
Are you sharing your screen, Patrick?
I thought I was, yes.
You're not. Yeah, you're not. That's the confusion. That's that's the current applicant. So Patrick, if you share your screen and go to page 52, 53, or 54 of the previous applicant.
I should be. Sorry, 1 second. Thought I was sharing.
There you go. There you go.
You're good. We figured it out.
Okay. You guys are able to see this?
Not yet. We're waiting for your screen to pop up.
Oh my God, what am I doing? Yeah. That's what I had.
Thank you.
Hey, Matt from Dynamic, is it possible that you have just a window assembly page that you can send over?
If someone wants to email that to me, I can bring it up right now. If anyone wants to email that to me or Patrick, we would be more than happy to share that on screen.
Could I offer?
Here, let's go ahead, Frank.
Well, I was going to offer that maybe we table this for and finish our agenda, and if they can provide what's necessary at the end, we can bring it off the table. Is that a reasonable half compromise?
Yeah, so this is staff. So we wouldn't be motioning to table. We would just kind of set it to the side and come back around at the end. So we don't need to motion or do anything like that. We'll, we can come back to it.
Hold on, that's the mechanics. I'm really asking Keone if that would be reasonable.
Yeah, that seems totally reasonable to me. We can go through the other agenda items. It'll give Brant and his team some time to provide the documents, and we can kind of go through them. Do you see what I'm getting at, though, Brant? If you see what Patrick's sharing on the screen,
I do. 100%. We have the detail, but as part of our submission, we didn't provide it. So let us put it together.
Clear. I'm not trying to pick on you. It's fairness. I can't ask this of everyone else and give you guys a pass.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys giving us the opportunity to push this off right now, and then we'll get everything and be able to talk through it.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to the next one, and we'll come back. UID 2106-001, 1502 North High Street. Yoshi.
Yes. Let me go scroll down. Okay, yes. So for this one, the applicant is proposing to install a new wall sign that is 20 inches by 9.5 inches in size and LED illuminated. Additionally, the applicant is also proposing to reface the existing projecting sign. And after review, staff recommends conditional approval. The University District Plan recommends signage to be designed to be logical and complementary, and staff views the signage as such, and therefore is recommending for approval. And again, we recommend conditional approval, and the recommended condition is that the bolts be covered with the plate. Thank you.
The applicant present?
I am.
Okay. Or, well, yeah, on behalf of the applicant. Turn on your camera, raise your right hand. Do you swear testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. You want to go ahead and tell us about the application?
Yeah. So this is just a storefront on North High Street. was previously Sushi High, which I believe was there for a couple years. We did their work as well. So they're just a new tenant in that storefront, and they're just looking to remove the current sign, current wall sign, and install new channel letters, LED illuminated white acrylic faces with black channels, and then just do a face replacement on the existing projecting sign. And then, yeah, that's about it. The wall sign's 20 inches high, 9 feet, 5 inches wide. So we're looking to propose that and just have it just directly over the top of the storefront there.
Okay, any questions from members of the board?
What was the height of the previous sign?
18. For the wall sign, correct? Yeah, it was. They were 18 inch high letters.
This is 26?
Correct. Yeah, the Y is 26, the rest are 20. And the reason the Y is a little bit bigger than the rest is just because that's their initial branding and their logo that they have for that. So that's why we proposed it that way. And then also compared to the previous sign, we're sacrificing some width to hopefully be approved with your guys' blessing for the additional height in the lettering.
Well, if you have a longer name, then that would work, right?
Correct. Sorry.
This is KB. I think it looks fine graphically. The scale of the letters and the scale of the space to me works fine. I'm trying to read that small construction detail. Is there any way in which assembly is visible? In other words, do we see any of the joinery on the facade?
The joinery, yeah, I mean, it would just be installed directly onto the wall, just like the previous sign was.
But I'm not very familiar with the previous sign. So how are the letters actually attached to the mounted surface?
Yeah, let me, sorry, hold here.
They appear to be bolted, maybe, but
yeah,
inside
they're
the sign cabinet.
Correct. Yeah, sorry, I'm just zooming in here.
So the electrical runs in the wall behind and pokes through the wall to access each of the plexiglass letters?
That is correct.
The issue will become the holes from the existing sign.
Correct. Yeah, we plan on patching those and repairing them the best we can. Yeah, with paintable caulk and things like that.
Well, we don't like the best you can. We really don't want to see. We don't really want to see anything. We'd like them to be able to also clean the stonework. Because my assumption is that there will be a shadow from the old sign on the wall if it's been up a few years. So we don't want to see Yoshi over the top of a shadow sushi sign. I would say you need to do something to make sure that it looks fresh and correct.
Okay. Yeah. When we would go out there, we would, remove the ghosting if there is any, repair any types of holes or remove any dirt that may have been around the outside outline of the sign itself. And then from there, that's when we would install the sign once approved with permitting and everything like that. But we would remove the sign and do all that during the survey.
Just as a note, have someone who's done a lot of shopping center changeovers over time. Mm-hmm. The raceways are ugly, but raceways do solve this kind of a problem. We all like to see letters floating perfectly on a wall. The problem is when the tenancy changes, you get into these issues, and the raceway can solve that. Now, I'm not suggesting we move to a raceway. I'm just saying that I would hope that you spend the time to do the proper thing to that existing wall such that your sign does look like this rendering.
Okay, absolutely.
And Frank, this is staff. If you'd like, you could add that all ghosting be removed as a condition of approval.
Yeah, we're not shy, Belkis. Yes, you're right. Thank you.
All right.
Any other questions or comments? If not, does someone want to make a motion that includes the various conditions?
Okay, I move that we approve the application as submitted with the following condition, that all evidence of the prior signage, be it weathering or whatever, be removed and cleaned from the masonry background, and that all all newly visible holes from the prior sign be patched with material in kind such that it is not easily visible from the sidewalk. I think that's it.
And do we want to cover the bolts?
Where are the bolts? Where? Oh, the projecting sign. Yes. Can you put the projecting sign up, please? Right. And then the escutcheon plates over the exposed fasteners. Actually, the escutcheon plate is actually the part that's on the wall, but the covering the bolts, a plate to cover the bolts to make them not visible.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
Carrie, second.
All those in
Was that
favor
Carrie?
say aye. Yeah, it was Carrie. All those in favor say aye with your name.
Aye, KB.
Hi, Carrie.
Frank. Hi, Frank.
Hi, Doreen.
Aye, Tony. All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Okay, next one, UID 2106002 North High Street, Verizon Wireless.
Yes. So this applicant is proposing to add 6 antennas, remove 3 antennas, and add 6 remote radio heads, and to remove 12 remote radio heads from the existing mounts that are on the building. And after review, staff does recommend approval. The University District Plan recommends that antenna devices should be sited in a way that minimizes visual impact and does not damage or cover distinctive architectural features. Staff recognizes that there is an increase in antennas and devices on the building, but does not view the increase in antennas as damaging to distinctive architectural features. And so as such, we do recommend approval. Thank you.
The applicant present.
Yes, sir. Tim Stark is present. Good afternoon.
Great, thank you, Tim. If you'll raise your right hand, make sure your camera's on.
Yeah, I'm toggling with the technology. Give me 1 second. But my hand is up. I do promise. 1 second. Is start video? Let's see. Should that be the option? Sorry. Apologize for the technical difficulty.
Tim, it should say start video at the bottom of your screen.
Okay.
You should see a few options. It's in an oval shape in light gray.
Okay, I'm there.
Do you see that at all?
Yes, ma'am. A few drop-down options under camera, Microsoft Camera Rear Front.
Yeah, you just pick whatever camera you have there that works for you.
I have both. I apologize. It's just I'm gonna unplug a video cord. 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, we've got the rear facing.
There we
Let's see.
go.
Apologize. We're getting there.
There you are.
Perfect.
Sorry for the delay.
All right. Thank you, Tim. No worries. Raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Great. Thank you. Okay, go ahead. Tell us about your application.
Okay, are you ready for applicant testimony?
Yep.
Okay, yes, thank you. Okay, Verizon Wireless has been installed on this rooftop with their antenna installation since 2009. They've made changes to their antenna configuration from time to time. In this case, as the applicant references, they're proposing to remove 3 antennas, add 6 antennas, remove 12 RH boxes, and add 6 RH boxes. So that's removing 15 pieces of equipment, adding 12. So a net decrease of 3 pieces of equipment. Each antenna is there. That's a good page right there. There are 3 antenna mounting locations on the rooftop, 2 sled mounts shown in the lower right-hand portion of that engineered document, and 1 set of antennas mounted on a smokestack or chimney brick facade. Let's see, this is a technology-based upgrade every 2-3 years or so. Verizon and most wireless carriers do upgrade their antenna system. We provided photo simulations to show the multiple and from a layperson on the street, you might any change. If you stood up next to it and you would recognize a change. Again, there's a decrease in equipment going from 15 pieces to 12.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from members of the board?
I'd like to point out that we've had a very rocky relationship with your industry on many of our buildings, and the result of what we thought we approved has rarely been what we thought. And I'm wondering on this particular application, if any attachment of the sleds, the same sleds, are the verticals the same verticals. It's just a matter of taking some boxes off and putting some boxes on, or are you making any other substantive change?
Yes, I just talked to the engineer of record today in the lower right-hand corner, Terra Consulting from Columbus. They confirmed the existing sled mounts, quantity 2, are remaining the same. The smokestack, which is a brick structure in the center of the building, is remaining the same. So no new mounting, the existing mounting to be used. The antennas and RH boxes are the only change.
And what is the relative size difference between the old boxes and the new boxes?
So rattle that off, please.
I'm sorry?
New antennas, yeah, I can rattle that off. The new antennas are rather small for industry standard. 3 of the new antennas are 16.8 inches in height. They're very short. We're used to, typically we do 8-footers or 6-footers. These are happen to be 16.81 inches
I
tall.
only care about the difference between what exists and what you're proposing.
Okay, existing 18.7 inches tall. Proposed is a combination of 16.811 inches tall and 35.12 inches tall.
Okay, so show us please where you're going to increase the height of what exists.
Sure. We could maybe please scroll to the engineered construction drawings. Okay.
Maybe you could zoom in, Patrick. Yeah.
Okay, page A3. Well, that's a good depiction there. we'll start on the left side of the screen. There's
Is this the page
4
that you
antennas
want?
that, yes, sir, that is a good view shed for right now. The upper left-hand portion of the page shows 4 panel type antennas for Verizon Wireless. The 2 on the left are existing. The one in the right middle is proposed new. That's the shorter of the bunch, the 16.811 inch tall. And the one on the right is also a new antenna, the taller of the bunch at 35.12. So none of the antennas will go higher than the existing antennas. And those measurements hold true for sector 1, sector 2, sector 3. It's kind of the same math over and over. 2 just happen to be on sled mounts. 1 happens to be on a smokestack brick facade.
So you currently have equipment there that are 30 some inches tall, and you're adding some that are 30 some inches tall, and you're removing some that are shorter. Is that correct?
The ones that are being removed antennas are 18.7 inches.
Okay, so you are increasing the size, but you're making them no bigger than the larger ones that exist on the building today.
As in taller wise, yes, they will not be taller. They fit on the same mount, and the height will not increase. They don't like the antennas to be staggered. They like the antennas to be.
Okay. All right, is this it?
For me, unless anyone has any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Are there any other questions? Frank, are you satisfied with the applicant's responses?
Yeah. I think it sounds like it's no worse than it already is. So, we all want cell phones. We just don't want to see anything associated with cell phones. It's just like gas stations. I get it. But I just would hope that we're not making the situation worse. It doesn't appear so. If anybody else thinks he's making the situation worse, please say something, because it looks like it's no worse than we have.
Frank, this is Doreen. I'd like to think it's actually slightly better.
Okay.
Okay. Does someone want to make an enthusiastic motion then?
This is Doreen.
Don't all jump at once.
I was going to say, this is Doreen. I move that enthusiastically we support the applicant.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Include your name for the record.
I'm sorry. Doreen, aye.
Aye, KV.
Carrie, aye.
Enthusiastic Frank says aye.
Keone, aye. All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes.
Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. UID 2106-003, 1593 North High Street, Heat Archive, whatever that is.
Yeah, so this applicant is proposing to install a wall sign and an awning on an existing storefront. The wall sign is a channel letter flush mounted sign, and the letters will be 60.45 inches wide and 8.5 inches tall. And an associated logo for that is 20 inches by 20 inches. Additionally, an awning will be replaced like for like with updated colors and logos. And after staff review, staff does recommend approval. The University District Plan recommends that signage be logical and complementary, and staff views the signage as such and therefore recommends approval. Thank you.
Is the applicant present? Someone representing the applicant?
Leslie Witzel.
All right, Leslie, if you'll want to make sure your camera's on, raise your right hand. Do you, well, first of all, is your camera on?
I believe so.
I don't see you, Leslie.
All right.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to do this on cell phone.
Do you see anything that says start video?
Audio, video. Yeah. So. Self video. Okay. Front camera, rear camera. Okay. Now it should be.
I don't see you quite yet.
It may block me. There we go. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Now do you see me? I see myself.
Nope.
No, unfortunately not.
Okay. Let's see. There we go.
Oh, there we
There
are.
we
There
go.
we are.
Yeah, okay.
Excellent.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie.
Great.
If you'll raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Great, thank you. You want to tell us about your application?
So this new storefront heat archive, we're replacing a Sprint store. So we'll be taking down, we took down, the university took down the Sprint sign.
Can we have the drawing up, please?
Yeah. I'm getting there, Keone. Or sorry, Frank. There we go.
Perfect.
So it'll be
Go ahead, Leslie.
it'll be channel letters that are flat facing against the facade, replacing over where the existing Sprint logo sign was. The university's already taken down the Sprint logos sign and also the lights that were there and fixed the facade. And then also be replacing the yellow awnings with black awnings, exactly the same, but then also adding on the front the logo and name.
Are there any questions from members of the board?
Can we see the Sprint sign, please? Zoom in on it, please. Thank you.
Is that good? Good, Frank?
Yes, thank you. I get it. Thank you.
So the Sprint sign goes away, is that right?
Correct. Sprint sign is gone already.
Okay.
So you're proposing a new, a metal panel to cover over the tile or whatever that is background. Is that correct?
No, it will still be the tile background. They just use that metal in the rendering to show
Okay.
that
So,
as the
so you're
tile
matching.
background will stay.
So you're
It's
matching.
actually like a stone.
You're matching the way it's installed to the where it was installed. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you said someone has repaired the holes in the wall already?
Where the lights are, the sign will go over where the existing Sprint is. So the lights were removed.
The lights.
If you look out right above the Sprint, there's two little black dots. Those were lights that protruded outward to light up the sign. It wasn't, the Sprint sign wasn't, I don't know if it wasn't lit or I'm not sure.
Were the holes repaired?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was part of the university's responsibility when they took it down.
And Sprint did not have any graphics on the awning, correct?
No, they were just the yellow ones that are in the picture to the left.
Those are my questions.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Keone, this is Doreen. It's not so much a question about the sign, which I think has been explained very well, but I must ask, is Heat Archive a new hot chicken takeover?
It is not. It is an apparel street store.
Okay. All right. It's good to know that. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. No. Very small local business.
We go back to the proposal, please. Thank you.
Is Heat Archive internally lit?
Yes.
Okay, so it's LED channel letter. Yeah, right. Okay, right there at the top. I gotcha. Okay. Any other questions from members of the board? If not, does someone want to make a motion?
I'm a little concerned that this drawing shows even a thickness for this panel. So you're sure that there is no panel? Ma'am? Ms. Wetzel? You're on mute.
That's requested on mute. Yeah.
Okay. There we go. My understanding is that it's going directly on the facade. But I see where you see that in the perspective. It shows the 2-inch, but it is.
All right. Can you scroll? What?
This is staff. You could also approve it on the condition that there is no 2-inch panel behind the sign.
Yeah.
That could be something.
Yeah. Can you scroll, please? Is there accompanying information?
It's sign effects.
Okay, so there's no specifications anywhere on it? Okay. Does anybody have any issue with the graphics on the awning? Guess not. Okay. So I've moved.
I mean, it's a little duplicative, Frank, but I don't know. You tell me what's your take?
It's pretty small. It's pretty small. I think it sort of probably adds to the quality of the detail aspect of it. So I move that we approve the application with the following conditions, that the existing sign be removed in all holes patched in kind to match the existing materials such as is not seen from the sidewalk, that the sign, the individual channel letters that are mounted to the existing panel, and that all connections of electrical be hidden behind the wall. And I think that's everything. And to make particular note that there is no new panel being added to the existing facade. That's it.
Great, thank you. Is there a second?
Terry, second.
All right, all those in favor say aye with your name for the record.
Aye, KB.
Terry, aye.
Frank, aye.
Doreen, aye.
Keone, aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, thank you. Let's see, that takes us to Conceptual applications UID 21-06-00850 East 7th Street. Eric Sartman, new construction. You want to start us off, Belkis?
Yeah. So this applicant is proposing demolition of existing multifamily residential structures and developing in its place a site with a 5-story multifamily building with 150 units, and which includes 180 beds. As part of the proposal, the applicant wishes to rezone the property from R4 to AR3 and has filed the following council variances, which you see below. Additionally, affordable housing will be a part of the proposal, and the building is set back 10 feet from the alley. The proposed architecture is in the conceptual phase. So you see these variances for density, maximum lot coverage, parking, front setback, building size. We have also maximum floor area ratio and height. And after a staff review, the University District Plan recommends this area for lower intensity residential, and the plan also states that design of new construction should be compatible with the surrounding streetscape. Consideration for higher intensity development should be based on the design mitigating impacts for the increased density, and staff requests that the applicant include design features to help mitigate the impacts of the intensity, and that includes addressing 7th Avenue with front doors, roofs, and porches, the addition of openings or courtyards along 7th Avenue to reduce the total lot coverage and activate the street with additional landscaping or step backs on the rear alley, and lastly, to have high quality materials. Staff also recommends that the design appropriately transition to the north and east, as these areas are lower intensity residential areas. Staff is not supportive of the proposed parking variance. The University District Plan recommends 0.75 spaces per bed in areas recommended for higher intensity residential. So the proposal is currently providing approximately 0.38 spaces per bed. So as such, staff recommends that the applicant have 0.5 spaces per bed, and based on the plan recommendation for higher intensity residential and the project adjacency to transit on High Street. Staff notes a commitment to affordable housing is a mitigating factor for the increased intensity. Thank you.
All right, is the applicant present?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is Mike Shannon. I've had some video problems, so I'm calling in from my mobile phone. I apologize. With me today is the principals with Peerless, as well as their development team, and also my associate, Eric Zartman. Can you hear me, Mr. Chairman?
I can. I think the issue is the city rules, as I recall, for remote meetings are that you have to have your camera on. So as long as you're fine letting your colleagues do all the talking, we can proceed.
Well, Keone, I would like to do that. The city attorney has indicated that voice recognition is permissible. I could try to log in once again to the meeting if you'd prefer that. I apologize. I had the video, but the verbiage was garbled. That's the way I can put it.
Yeah, not a big deal to me, but the city makes the rules. So I guess I would rely on city staff to clarify the city's policy.
Yeah, so the policy is that we do have to have video as well as audio. The only time where we could use audio only is if we did see you on video for a moment and then you went away. But we do have to see you on video at some point for you to speak.
Belkis, I can confirm that I saw Mike, if that helps.
Did? Okay.
I did, yeah, I saw him briefly earlier. He's wearing a hat and glasses.
Okay. All right. Well, if you saw him, Patrick, that's good. So his testimony would be okay then.
Okay, I'm good with that. All right, anyone who's going to speak today, raise your right hand. Make sure, with the exception of Mike, your camera's on. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Yes, I do.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Do you want to go ahead and tell us about your application?
And let me know if you need me to pass the reins over to anyone. I'm happy to do so. I'm not entirely sure who you want me to give it over to.
Did we lose Mike again? Mike is going to start with a quick portion of the presentation to walk through some of the variances briefly, but I don't know what happened to Mike.
This is Mike.
Shannon? Let's.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Mike, we can.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Hi, this is Eric Zarman. I'll take over for Mike.
What to do?
I'm Mike Shannon's associate, and I can briefly walk you through the variances. I believe the screen. This is a pretty small screen, but during the staff review reports, there's a more clear breakdown of the variances requested. Won't go into too much details. They've already been outlined, but as part of this application, these are the variances that we've identified at this point.
Sir, can I stop you a minute? Could you, I don't know about anybody else, but I have no idea where we are or what properties you're talking about or anything. So can you at least orient us, please, first?
Could you click on the Google Maps, Patrick?
Yeah, I'll go to Google Maps.
Awesome. Thank you.
Joe, I think it might be best to start with your presentation, and then we can get into the variances afterwards if the board has any questions.
So just, I guess, to that point, this appears to be the property behind Uncommon at 7th and High, directly east of the applicant several applications ago.
Yeah, it's right north of the Kroger parking lot.
Yep.
Okay. And this is, the church remains, is that correct? This is the next property down?
Correct.
Yes, this is correct. The address is 50 East 7th Avenue. Sorry, I'm getting some feedback. The property is 57th Avenue. The request is to rezone. The property is currently developed with some apartment residential buildings that you're looking at now. The proposal is to demolish these buildings and develop the property with a new multifamily development that we'll show you some renderings of later in the presentation. The total site is about 4 parcels, so it doesn't extend all the way to Indianola, but it's a couple properties short of that, and it's across from Kroger, as they were saying.
Does it extend all the way over to Section Alley?
Oh, sorry, Section Alley. Sorry, I misspoke about Indianola. Yeah, it doesn't go all the way to Section Alley.
Okay.
At this point, we were going to pass it over to the principals of Peerless Development so they can talk us through their proposed development. And then I'd be happy to answer any questions you have as far as the zoning and entitlements are concerned. Joe or Michael Cordero, are you available?
Yeah, who's going to pass it to? Joseph Patrick.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'll jump right in right now. So I want to thank you guys, everybody, for the opportunity to talk right now and present to you guys. I will ask if you could pass the video, the presentation, to our architects team that is on the call as well. They're listed as Klein Design Associates. So I just wanted to kind of give a brief introduction and thank you, and then Carl Winstead from our design team is going to kind of walk you guys through the design to present where we are with the conceptual plan for this at this time. I know that we've had kind of some preliminary discussions with the group there last week, and we've and showed some initial concepts, but we've made some progress over the past week or so, which hopefully will answer some of the questions that came up previously, and I think give everybody a little bit of a flavor of where we're going with the direction for our anticipated development here. So thank you. And with that, then I'll pass it to Carl Winstead at Klein Design Associates, and he's going to kind of walk you through the presentation here. So.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for intro. John Oberheim is here with us as well. He's one of our lead designers on the team as well. And I just want to say, I really felt that we were pulling for Tim and Leslie. I think all of us through these last year and a half have had to find new ways of doing things, and it's been struggles at times, and kind of being separated and not being together has had its own challenges. But I think we've probably been kind of working on ways to collaborate. So I'm very happy that we've got a way that we can actually, like this, still collaborate together. And I will say that Joe's team has been boots on the ground a lot as well too. With discussion with the neighbors and working with that. So Joe, as we kind of go through this, if you have some points that you want to make back as we move forward, again, feel free to do that. I think we'll just really kind of open by, just as we preface this, this is conceptual. We're really beginning to get further into design of the building. We have already, just for a little history, we've already gone through a couple of different schemes and had the chance to sort of have input from the neighborhood and sort of kind of get their list of, these are the 5 things or so that are most concerning to us. And so what you're seeing here is not the first scheme, but really is a massing and a beginning of some ideas that represent kind of the flavor from those conversations that we've already had. Just to kind of orient you, this is the view kind of from High Street looking up 7th. So the Uncommon is there on the left, and the Kroger parking lot is there on the right. The building is set up as a 1-story podium with 5 floors of residential above it. The site does slope. So going from the low end, we do have a little bit of not retail. We have sort of leasing and an office kind of space on the bottom floor with a parking, and then the rest of that is residential. So kind of one of the things to note that we've been working with, again, you can begin to see in this elevation, is sort of the mixture of a lot of relief and play with building elevations and massing. So we'll kind of just walk through this. And then, take any kind of questions. So one of the things that we talked about with the neighborhood was really the kind of the concern of massing, of not wanting to see necessarily a big box. There was a little bit of, comparison to some other projects, and so we've really been kind of working to break apart this building so that it does have, it's not just one big box. There was concern about wanting movement in the project. Again, interest between materials, colors, windows, really trying to give it a little bit of, again, some movement. And just to kind of give you a little bit of input here, like we're looking at a fair amount of masonry, light colored masonry on the front. There is some indications of some, the darker gray, kind of being another brick color introduced into the bottom. There are not a lot of balconies, but there are some roof terrace areas. There's some carved areas out of some of the corner units to give, again, some relief. There is, sort of smooth gray, kind of smooth siding. And then on the upper floors, you'll see that we're looking at some ideas with maybe some, vertical siding or other kind of siding with some kind of material, color on it. And then a little bit of some accents of Trespa, which is sort of that wood tone kind of look. So here is a perfect example on that corner. That is at street level. That is the lowest level of parking. So that is the sort of the leasing office that has storefront windows facing the street. Of course, then the street then begins to slope up, and then the levels above that, levels 2 and the 5 levels above that are then all residential. So kind of a look, kind of from the parking lot of Kroger, looking towards the project. Again, there are these two courtyard spaces. There's a lot of discussion about a large courtyard with pool deck and a lot of things like that. And there's some discussion about really, again, trying to sort of maybe not encourage that kind of activity. So these are really kind of their two sort of smaller, more intimate courtyards that are kind of shared with the residents on that level. There is a fitness amenity center on the left-hand side of the building there across that floor area, which opens onto one of the courtyards. But again, you'll see the stepping of the building and kind of just, again, that request for movement and play with windows. Looking back towards High Street, again, trying to bring the materials of the building and, again, some movement and scale. We are looking at integrating maybe some Juliet balconies as an idea across the front of the building, which again gives a little bit of activity, openness to the street. Again, without necessarily putting in overhangs and balconies. And the thought was that again gives a little bit of privacy for the neighborhood without having people basically on a balcony. You're kind of in, at least at the street level, you're sort of in kind of your unit. Then the upper floors where if there is any kind of terrace space, it's on the floor areas above. Again, looking down towards High Street, and again the Uncommon there in the foreground. And then this is the view on the alley side. Another concern that the neighbors had expressed was interest in improvements to the alley and the creation of, maybe either parking or the idea that when there was a move in, move out, that there would be a space for that to occur without it blocking the alley. And so the building is pushed back, and we're just suggesting that back on this side where the entry of the parking area is, that would also be sort of the service side, and we would create again a sort of 10-foot improvement to keep that kind of traffic, that service vehicles off of the alley for blocking it up. Again, you can see we've got some of the details with the corners opening up for some kind of some recessed areas, but still trying to kind of work within the massing of the building. Again, I think the variance mentions that we're looking at a height of 67. I think right now we're at about 66 feet at the tallest point. And again, that's with the slope of the grade going back down towards High Street. So again, we're in a very conceptual stage. We actually have another meeting tonight with the Wineland community. So it'll be another chance for us to, again, to bring this to them and to sort of talk about the adjustments that have been made based on the recent conversations we've had with them. And then, again, trying to move the project forward. So hopefully that's just a quick overview, again, conceptual, beginning to kind of look at it, but appreciate the chance to bring it to you and, welcome any of your, sort of thoughts and Joe, if you have anything else you want to say, I'll sort of turn it back to you if you want to.
Yeah, thank you, Carl. Yeah, I'd like to you can just leave it on this image. And I think that that's fine. And I wanted to kind of, reiterate a little bit and supplement what you had mentioned, that what we're looking at here, while it is conceptual, it's the results of a kind of a lengthy process with our group, and kind of, a number of sit down meetings and personal walkthroughs and conference calls with the Wyland Park Civic Association and their housing committee there over the past 6 to 8 weeks, or actually longer than that, I should say, probably extending back to close to 12 weeks. So we've listened to them, we sat down with them, and that has really informed how this building has evolved from, our initial concepts. And that really, I don't want to say dictated, but we've got great feedback from them, and they expressed a lot of concerns about colors, about size, about scale, about location of scale, about operations, about, car egress, ingress, and pedestrian, access, as far as engagement with the street. So we've been trying to work through those with the group and react to those. And I think we've actually been, Carl and his team have done a really nice job on short notice of creating a facade here that is very active, that is varied across it, which we really think helps, balance it out a little bit, better fit in with the surroundings, and also, create a little bit of, I guess, reduction in visually in how this building scales across the street there. So you will notice that a lot of that massing has kind of been pushed to the center of the block, the center of this building, and that was purposeful, based on our feedback with the group. And you can see how it does kind of step down and scale down as it gets closer to the east side of the site, is where the residential buildings are, more so than it does on the alley side or on the west side. Those are all purposeful decisions and in reactions to our meetings with the group and the voices that we've heard from the park community. So hopefully those, make sense. I know you guys have a much better understanding of how this works, and how the building kind of becomes shapes and how it creates sizes because of that. So I think that's hopefully those will be, I guess, apparent as you kind of go through this. And these also have been, the decisions we've made in the design are a lot directed by and the result of the variances that we are requesting. So I know that we've kind of brushed through those quickly, and I don't know if you guys would like us. We'd be happy to walk through those if you'd like. I know, parking has been a particularly hot topic, and we do have some additional information that we could share with the group regarding that. And as well as height and massing. So if there's other specific questions relative to I think the facade of the massing, it'd be a good time to introduce that. If not, we would maybe then backtrack a little bit and talk through some of those variances.
Are there any questions, members of the board?
Yes, Keone,
I
it's
guess
Doreen.
with regard to the building. Go ahead.
I'm so glad to know that you are working with the Island Park Civic Association, but I'd also like you to perhaps give me a little bit more background of perhaps what you've been responding to or what you've been hearing from the other neighbors, which is the church next door to you, and also from the Euclid Avenue residents, because that street was very much a subject a number of years ago. And are trying to sort of save the scale of it, and a lot of the little amenities which make it a little different are still preserved on that street. So can you let me know what issues have been brought up by those two neighbors?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
We can start with the Euclid Neighbors group there. So as part of our discussions with the Wyland Park Civic Association as a community, there have definitely been a number of Euclid Avenue residents specifically on that board. And we actually, as part of the process, there was a much smaller I guess, kind of sub board that was created to kind of specifically allow us to work with a focused group. And there were two residents of that street. So we went down there, we came down to Columbus and spent an afternoon actually walking around on the site and walking along Euclid Avenue with them, getting to understand their concerns from a community level as well as from kind of a development level. And some of the concerns that they had voiced initially having to do with the building height, the building kind of scale along the alley. We've definitely addressed a few of those right off the bat by actually kind of pulling the scale. Yeah, if we can go to the alley view, that the alley was really a hot view for them. And one of the things that we explained to them is that, you know, in reality, when you look at the building from this perspective, and this view that we're looking at here was essentially taken from what would be roughly the back porch of the homes on Euclid Avenue that are facing us. So it's about taken from about 85 feet back from the alley. And from this angle, what you're looking at is essentially a 4-story building. So with the parking at this corner of the site, more than half buried underground. And we did that purposely by pushing that down in order to keep the scale of the building down. So that was one reaction to it. They had some concerns about looking at a big blank wall. So we've done some suggestive, we've peeled back some of the corners, we'd opened up some of the corners, we've changed some of the materiality. We're introducing some softer colors, you know, with some wood accents or wood color accents, I would say. I won't say it's actually wood. And so it isn't just a big white box. Obviously, they've had some concern when looking at the back of the Uncommon building, which everybody seems to point out as something that they didn't like. So we've specifically kind of addressed those elements. And we actually walked with them, stood on some of the porches on the homes of Euclid Avenue and looked south. And in reality is you really won't see this building from many locations that they had expressed concerns of being able to, you know, they were concerned about a big hulking mass in their backyard. And in reality is between landscaping, other homes that are in the area, garages, the views of where they thought things were going to be oppressive, let's say, were just not there. And they were actually surprised when we took the time and walked through it with them. And I think that they felt much better about that. And when we kind of said, look, here's how tall the building's going to be, here's where it will be when you walk and when you look at it from these angles. And they were, I say, pleasantly surprised that it isn't, you know, won't be as, you know, such a big building in the back in their eyes. Many of their other concerns that they expressed had to do with operations of the building, relative to traffic, blocking the alley, picking up trash. And we have worked through with that group and created a memorandum of understanding. And in that, we've addressed a lot of these items. And we're working through having that document signed so that there's an agreement in place essentially between our group and the Wyland Park Civic Association to say, look, here's, you know, we can't quite address those in the design. Some we can, some we can't, but the other ones that are operational, we are going to put our name on paper and sign it, that we're going to take care of this and we're going to be a good neighbor and we're going to address those. And we're going to be here to listen if things don't go exactly as, you know, you thought that they would. So we're going to be part of that. So that was how we addressed the Euclid Avenue. And the church had a number of different, obviously they had some concerns about anything taller or, you know, more than what's there on site going up at the time. They were concerned about some of their, the visibility of the church being impacted, specifically from 7th Avenue when you're looking west, and so actually we went out there and you won't be able to quite tell from this perspective. We convinced them, look, our building doesn't impact your visual accessibility from High Street since we're on the other side of you. And when we walked with them and stood in the street and walked down the sidewalks coming down 7th Avenue from the east walking west, the reality is you can't see the church today. I think maybe some of the images that you were bringing up earlier of the existing buildings that are there. So between the existing buildings that are there and the landscaping that's there on site, the trees and shrubs that are on the site, the church is completely hidden. And when we walked with them and said, look, your building isn't really visually, accessible from 7th Avenue right now, we're not making it any worse. And so they were surprised at that, but they were happy that we were able to take the time and convince them that. I'll be honest with you, they certainly don't love a large building next to them. So we have made some what we feel are reasonable gestures to scale back the building on the west side by stepping it back inward and inward in both directions. And then by opening up that corner with a little more glazing to try to soften it up, by reducing a lot of balconies right along that side by the church's entrance, so that, you know, they were concerned about, you know, potential noise and people hanging out in balconies. So we've talked with them about, you know, reducing some of that along that side. They had some concerns about their landscaping and addressing kind of how the interaction of their entrance and our entrance would occur so close to each other. So those are items that are in the memorandum of understanding that we're going to, you know, assist and kind of take care of some of that landscaping and do a better job of cleaning up that interaction between the two buildings. Because right now it is a little awkward with the existing structures and the church at this time. So I know it's kind of a long-winded answer, but there was a lot of items that we've been talking about over the last 6 or 8 weeks. Hopefully that helps clarify it a little bit.
It does, but I do have a follow-up question for staff, if you don't mind. It's my understanding that because memorandums of understanding have come up on a number of cases, but the city attorney does not advise good neighbor agreements. I'm not so sure that that isn't a fine line between an MOU and a good neighbor agreement. And good neighbor agreements are not enforceable and certainly would change or be ending if the building ownership was to change. So I don't need an answer to that now, but I'm hoping that maybe we could get a little clarity on that as we proceed through this. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Doreen. This is staff. All I can say in regards to that is that's correct, that those memorandums of understanding aren't something that's enforceable by, you know, zoning staff or anyone like that. So that's where a gray area can kind of come into play with those in terms of, you know, regulation or enforceability. And those aren't something that we track on our side. But we can continue to discuss that and look more into that as this project progresses, for sure.
That's great. Thank you.
Before we go into variances or building design and everything, I've heard affordable housing mentioned. Could you tell us, please, what percentage of the building is affordable housing? What percent AMI is being used? And also, is it 4% credits, 9% credits, and do you have allocation?
Well, Blaine and Mike, can you guys address that one?
Yep.
Thank you.
This is Michael Cordero. We are doing 10% of the units at 80% AMI and another 10% of the units at 100% AMI as our thresholds, for a total of 20% of the on-site units.
Okay, so you're doing it privately. You're not doing it through government credits. Is that correct?
No. That's correct.
I'm sorry? Okay.
That's correct.
And can you give us an idea of the differential in rent between a market and I don't necessarily need to know it in dollars, but maybe percentage wise? So if I'm at 80% AMI, how much less percentage wise am I going to pay in rent than someone in the marketplace? What I'm getting at here is we have been asked by staff to somewhat look at this in a more flexible way if there is a affordable housing component. I'm trying to weigh how much affordable housing is there and how much sway should be given based on that.
Yes, so I believe the difference between market and 100% AMI is probably in the neighborhood of 15 to 20%, and the 80% AMI like 25 to 30%.
Another point to make is that these units that are set aside for the 80% AMI and the 100% AMI, now those units can't be rented out for people making above those income thresholds. So it's a good point to make that these units will be saved for people making those thresholds or below. So someone that's making a lot of money can't come in and rent one of these units. So just to state that.
Right, but this is not an affordable housing project. This is a market rate project that has an affordable component, right?
That's correct.
That's correct.
And I'm sorry, but I have two other comments. One is, I think it's great that you've spent all this time talking with neighborhood groups and you've gotten very far. Moving forward, I caution you to work with us and have our the forum for conversation on the building design, so there's not confusion. So if the neighborhood groups have comments, further comments on the design, they should be encouraged to come to our meetings and voice their concerns, so that the venue is all this venue, so that there's not an issue of confusion. And then the only aesthetic comment I have is that at this point at least, is that the building is expressive of undifferentiated space behind it. In other words, it looks more like a speculative office building where we don't know what's going to happen behind those windows. A residential building is differentiated space. There are bathrooms and there's living rooms or whatever. So I find it to be a little less human than a residence might be. That's a very general, fuzzy comment, I know, but it's all I have at this point. That's it. Thank you.
Are there other comments?
I'm cautious about taking even more time since we're already 25 minutes over the time of the scheduled meeting. But I think, first of all, I want to support strongly the fact that you're bringing some affordable units. I wish there were more. I know that there's a city support for participating in the 10%. But I think from an aesthetic point of view, I think you're in a process. You've got a start, and I think there are a lot of things that can be improved. I'm trying to look at it holistically. I'm also looking at it from the standpoint of your description. It helps me to see representations of the building in context with the things around it. And so here we see it relative to the church, but I'd like to see section drawings. So for instance, at Euclid Avenue, a section drawing is the kind of drawing that we as architects read more readily, perhaps, than people in the community read. And that gives us more understanding about height relationships, why the half sunken parking is advantageous relative to making a street front or an area you pass by. Parking that's halfway underground doesn't make a very good promenade or area to walk past. So I think there are so many things that we could talk about that could work toward contributing to an improved aesthetic, that we're going to need some more information to do that. We also need more time to do that. What I'm looking at right now concerns me that I can't find an entrance into the building, given this particular point of view, but that might be different if I'm looking at it from a different perspective. So I think there are just many things that we want to continue to look at, following on Frank's comment about understanding the nature of the building as housing rather than an office building.
This is Carrie. I'm just going to build on that. I mean, I have to tell you that from my standpoint, and I'm usually could kind of care less about density. It doesn't necessarily scare me, but I'm just concerned about the context of what's around it. You know, the church doesn't really bother me because if it's like most churches, it's empty 95% of the time. And the Kroger parking lot is what it is. What concerns me is that how the character of the neighborhood changes once you get past Cortlandt Avenue going east. So you've got, and they may not always be there, but you've got three really modestly scaled houses, and then you're leaving two lots before you get to Section Alley, and this thing is just going to loom over it. And I agree with Katie in the sense that that I don't buy the fact whether it's 80 feet or 120 feet. If you're in the backyard on Euclid Avenue, that thing is going to loom over you. And I can tell you, I don't need a drawing to tell me how much I would not like that if I owned one of those houses. So I wish there were a way that this building could step down to respond to what's around it a little bit. And you'll note that a week or so ago, no, a month ago, we did approve something that was basically inbound from High Street. I mean, quite frankly, I think this building looks more like it belongs on High Street than somewhere between High and Summit. But we did approve a building kind of this scale, but what had happened was the property across from it had redeveloped with a similar scaled building. And that's not the case here, again, excepting the Kroger parking lot. So I have to tell you, our senior planners actually lives in Wineland Park and is on the housing committee, I believe. So I'll be keeping tune of what's going on that front. But I've got some pretty grave concerns, honestly.
Are there any other comments from members of the board? If not, I'll add a couple things. Basically, I think I'm mostly in agreement with everything that's been said by my colleagues. I'm open to an argument about increased scale here. 7th is sort of a strange street as you cross High. It's a little narrow, and obviously the character of it's been a little degraded because of the big parking lot to the south of the Kroger. So, you know, I think there's an argument for a reasonably dense high buildings, kind of asserting a kind of urban edge in, you know, let's recognize the city's getting more dense and this whole neighborhood is sort of eroding as single family houses. I think one thing is if you're serious about treating it as a kind of urban building on an urban street, you need to think about how you meet the street and the sort of high kind of wall along 7th to your residential plinth kind of up there is not really selling it for me. So I think you need to think about something that addresses the street in a more gracious and public way if you're going to kind of make the argument that, you know, this kind of fits into the city. And then I think the other thing is just to sort of echo what KB said, that the majority of us on this board are design professionals, architects, or landscape architects. So give us the kind of drawings that we're all used to seeing to make the argument, because you know as well as we do that perspectives can be manipulated to make a case favorable to what you want to do. But we would like to see measured orthographic drawings of the kind we commonly use to tell us about the relationships between the building and the adjacent ones. All right. Are there any other questions or comments on the application at this point? Okay. Conceptual, so there's no action taken. Yeah.
Correct.
Thank you,
Okay.
everybody.
Let me. To Katie's point, we're a half hour over time. So let me poll members of the board. Do we want to go back to subtext?
Are they prepared?
Yes, they did send another exhibit with window details that Patrick or I can pull up.
Yeah, but I'll pass it over to Brent and he can pull it up.
Well,
okay.
KB is asking if we all have the time. I can say that I can hang on. So that's me.
Guys, I think we can make this really quick. There's 4 details that we need to show, as well as you know, just a standard window schedule. You guys, we can make it quick.
I'll give you 10
Well,
minutes.
you're going to need a quorum. I'm willing to stick around, so I guess it's KB and Carrie.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
Absolutely, we can do
All
it.
right, make it quick, Brent.
We'll try to do it in half of that. Matt, are you on?
Yes,
I can share my screen. Matt, can you go through the details? I don't think we provided a window schedule that shows all of the window schedules identified within the plan. But then specifically, as requested, the window details for brick, metal panel, lap siding, and then lap siding that faces the courtyard. There's a little bit of a modification. You know, I'm sorry. Share.
Oh, sure.
Let me share.
So if you share and then,
yep,
you got
all
it.
right, sorry. So this is the, you know, we provided this as an exhibit. This is just our overall window schedule. But to get into the details to understand how everything is, you know, Matt, can you go through? I can navigate, but can you just, you know, high level, you know, go through this detail for everybody so they understand?
Do me a favor, zoom in. Do me a favor, zoom out a little on the screen.
Zoom out.
Yeah.
There you go. Right there. Right there.
That good?
Stop. Yep.
Better? You need to zoom in or out? Just let me know. Matt,
well, I mean, my issue is this looks like a shop drawing that you pasted on a title block. I'm saying that because I look down on the left on top of the coping and it says brake metal flashing by others. So I want details from a construction drawing set that is supposed to be for this project. And I'm a little beside myself that, you know, we can't be clear about what this is supposed to be. Don't give me cut and paste details from a shop drawing.
Hey, Keone, this is Matthew from the design team. Our design intent here clearly shows that, you know, these are vinyl windows, these are nail flange vinyl windows, and that our design
Okay,
intent
Matthew,
is...
so is your intent to recess the windows nominal 6 or 7 inches back from the face of the brick? Or are you going to have masonry sills of what appear to be cast stone or cut limestone at the base of the window?
Our design intent is to have a brick roll-lock at the base of the window. And yes, you're correct. The window will be recessed from the face of the building as well. If you'll notice in the sill detail, we're using a 2x.
How many inches?
From the face of the building? From the face of the
brick.
From the face of the brick.
Yes.
5 inches from the 5 inches from the face of the brick. Brick width plus your airspace, plus a little bit more recess because we're using the 2x4 over the 2x6 to create sort of a meaningful shadow line around the entire window. For the windows at brick and at fiber cement siding and at the metal panel as well, just on the outside the face of the building.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We do not have a quorum any longer because Doreen had to leave to give another presentation, so we're down to 4 members.
4 is a
Four
quorum.
is a quorum.
4 is a quorum, but I'm out. I'm going to do this one last time, and then I'm off this meeting. What you need to present to get a certificate of approval is the kind of documents that would comprise a 30% construction drawing, plus or minus. That includes, in addition to wall sections, a representative selection of details that shows us how you plan to use the materials and how they plan to come together that is accurate to the construction and to the use of the materials on the building. So I would expect to see, if you want to show me a typical detail at a windowsill that where you've got a brick roll-lock, I'd expect to see brick drawn. I wouldn't expect to see precast concrete or limestone or cast stone. I certainly wouldn't expect to see something cut and paste from a shop drawing. You know, to something that was said earlier, the majority of us on this board are design professionals. You presumably understand the kind of documents we commonly work with. You had examples previous to this one by the applicant at the other location, whatever that project was called, Sullivan Brook. You had examples the previous month. I respect that you're trying to hustle and get stuff done, but you know, I'd like to see a sheet or two, well, more probably given the size of this building and the number of materials. You know, some sheets of details. How are you going to cope the top of the metal wall? How are you going to cope the top of the brick wall? What is the bottom of the brick as it sort of returns, you know, underneath the opening? Is there a shelf angle? Are you using lip brick? Is the shelf angle exposed? You don't have to do everything, but give us enough of a sense of the way you're sort of using the materials in the project.
Matt, do you have any questions? Dynamic.
I don't have any questions. I mean, we've been progressing the drawings as we've been moving along in the design process. Keone, we do have some of those details available currently that we can show you. I mean, they're pretty typical details. Some of them are specific to this project, like we've provided for this presentation.
I guess, Matt, Keone's not on this, not in favor. We need his vote because there's not going to quorum without him. So he's not going to vote in favor of this. We need to get him the details. I need to make sure that he has all the details next month. So I guess, what other questions could you have to make sure that, we are all aligned? We have all the details, we have everything that he needs. It's just making sure that we can package it up and give it to everybody so we're not wasting their time. I want to be respectful as much as possible to everybody's time, because so I guess I just want to make sure we've got a couple minutes. Do you have any questions that relates to what we need to make sure that we're presenting next time? And I think if we just submit a full set of drawings, guys, and we can just go through these, and instead of having to cut and paste and other items from our drawings or shop drawings to try to appease, is that a better approach?
That is a fine approach. I mean, again, look at what Sullivan Brock did. Look at
Keone,
what
we looked at what Parallel provided last week, and we provided everything that they did. So I get it. I want to provide as much.
Okay, I've had it. You really didn't. You really haven't. I mean, Frank, would you say the quality of the submission was similar to Sullivan Brock or to Rotary Group?
I'm in support of your
practicing
position.
architect?
I'm in support of your position, Keone.
Keone, it wasn't an attack. I hear you loud and clear. I respect you, and I want to provide you the information that we need for you guys to make a decision to make sure this is a good quality building for the city of Columbus. And it's our intention to make sure that we will do that. We've never developed here. You guys don't know us. I understand that we need to be able to prove and provide you guys the support to make sure that you guys are going to get the quality building that you expect. We will do that. And next month, we will have all of the information. I'm crossing my fingers. We're listening, and we will have a packet next month that will be ready for a vote. So I would ask us to table until next month again.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we need to have a motion to table the application?
Sorry, I didn't.
As long as the applicant requests it, we don't need to take action.
Okay.
All right. See everybody next month.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Keone, take us home.
All right. A second, I just lost my agenda. I think that's it for anything staff approved applications. Patrick, if you're still there, anything we need to care about?
Patrick, could you pull up the agenda with the staff approvals?
Sorry, I had trouble unmuting myself. I don't think there's anything major.
Fine.
Yep.
Anything anyone cares about, or are we good?
Well, no. If we're done with that, I wanted to thank Patrick for all of his
Right.
hard work.
Well, let me. I'm sorry.
Hey, Frank,
we need a motion to approve.
Oh, okay. I move that we approve the staff submitted, the staff approved applications.
Harry, second.
All those in favor say aye. Name for the record.
Aye.
Okay. Approved. Okay. Sorry, Frank. Ruined it.
No.
Go ahead.
Patrick, you've done a great job. We really appreciate everything you've done. And
Agreed.
Belkis, you're on your way here. So you're doing great. Thank you.
Frank,
Thank you.
Frank, I want to take it one step further. Since we're going to be meeting together on the 22nd of July, let's go out afterwards and invite Patrick to join us so we can
That's a
all buy
perfect.
him a few beers. How about that, Patrick? You got a date, July
I'm gonna-
22nd?
That sounds great, but I'm going to be in Toledo, so
Dang!
yeah.
Just drive down. That's not a problem, is it?
I assure you that you'll be transitioned to good hands. And for better or worse, I think we only had one meeting in person together. I could be wrong. So yeah, thank you for the patience and getting together online.
Well, we're not letting you off that easily. We're going to come back to you once a month for a meeting party somewhere, somehow.
KB, why don't let's FaceTime him from the bar. How about that?
I could do that.
There's always August and then September and
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
all right.
yeah,
Well, good luck.
it.
Good luck, Patrick.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick.
I appreciate it.
Belkis, welcome to the party.
Yep.
Thank you. Yep, I'll see you all next month.
For whatever
in
it's
person.
worth, Belkis, most of them are a little smoother than this one.
Okay.
Agreed.
This was a big agenda.
I know I have a few legacy. I'm calling them legacy projects. So we'll shepherd it through. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Okay.
See y'all. See you in a minute.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah. Have a good 4th.
Bye.
Bye.